everybody.
You see that we've got this.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone here today to the September 29th Planning Commission meeting. And if Mr. Slay would lead us in an invocation.
Well, God, we start this meeting as with all of our meetings, acknowledging that we are in need of your power and your presence with us here today, because we desire to have the wisdom that comes from you so that we can make good, wise, effective decisions for all of the residents of our community. Father, thank you that you have blessed us abundantly as you have, as you always do, Lord, even though we don't deserve it, with so many blessings that we enjoy in this community, our safety, Lord. The fact that we have a strong business community. The fact, Lord, that we've got public servants who are willing to serve and sacrifice and do what is required so that everyone can benefit. Thank you, Lord, that this is a place that you have set your hand upon and that you've protected us. And God, we would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge that and never take it for granted. And so we do that today in Christ's name. Amen.
All right, thank you, Mr. Slay.
You get all this up?
All right, I guess the consideration and approval of September 1st, 2022 minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Cross. I have a second. Second, Mr. Gaines. All in favor, say aye. All opposed,
Well,
like
we
sign.
almost got stuff done. You know,
Yeah.
we're close, Gaines. You know,
Any old
if you could have
business?
ran the speed up a little fast.
There is no old business today.
All right, I guess new considerations.
All right, we have one item. It is a rezoning request for Donnell and Sandra Warren at 4428 Highway 49 South. This property is located on the east side of Highway 49, just south of Star Road. They're seeking to rezone 8 acres of a 21-acre parcel from C3 to A1. That's an aerial view of the property. There's 2 old commercial buildings on the property and a home. This is the zoning map. You can see the front portion of that property is zone C3. That's the 8-acre section. The remainder of the property to the rear is zoned A1, and they want to change the entire parcel to be A1. They've placed the house for sale, and prospective buyers are unable to obtain a mortgage because the house sits in that C3 zone. They have plans to demolish the 2 commercial buildings. These are views of that property. You can see the 2 commercial buildings out front there, and then this is the house. Mrs. Warren is here today if you have any questions for her. And that's a view of the house. And then these just are views from Highway 49.
I'll make a motion to set the public hearing for the 3rd.
Second.
Second, Mr. Cross. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carried. All right, move on to the next one.
Okay, so it's site plan architectural review for Davis Aviation at 200 Jetport Road. Jetport Road is on the east side of Highway 25. They're proposing construction of a 10,642 square foot airplane hangar with a concrete tarmac. They own a total of 159 acres. That's an aerial view of the property. You can see the existing buildings on the property. And then this is their site plan. The new hangar will go here. They've cut out a 1.32 acre parcel for the building to sit on. And the property is zoned A1, if I didn't say that. The site plan shows the concrete tarmac and then a future grass runway. These are views of the existing building. The airplane hangar will match this building in materials and color. And then this is just the location of where the hangar will be built on the property. Representatives are here today if you have any questions for them. And Mr. Parker has reviewed the drainage plans and had no comments on that.
I'm trying to figure out exactly where it is.
It's, I don't know,
25.
if you're on
It's on
25, yeah,
Okay.
between
Just north of
Stall
Hollywood.
and
Just
40.
I
north of
mean, it's just gonna
Hollywood.
be
Okay.
small planes.
Sand.
I mean,
well,
I'm,
This is sand.
how long is the run way?
this
gonna be?
one rate is, what, 1,000 foot or so? The one with
Currently, it's only 1320.
1320, a quarter mile, but you may at some point, yeah. He, it's quite impressive, I'll tell you, the building is.
You could get your jet into there. I don't think it'd be a problem.
Yeah,
Okay, just wanna check the size.
yeah, I make the motion that we go with it. It's a great addition. I wish you really could see just a little more from the road. It's that kind of
Yeah,
impressive.
that's the reason I was asking where it was.
Yeah.
Can't-
There's a lot of folks who've been looking to move from, looking for another
Yeah,
airport.
that's right.
Riverdale. All right, so
I made a motion.
motion, second by Mr. Cross, and any more discussion? All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carried. All right,
All right,
Number-
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Next is a site plan architectural review for Gurinder Babber, Highway 49 and Star Road. This is located on the southeast corner of Star and Highway 49. Mr. Babber is proposing construction of a 5,750 square foot convenience store. It's a 2.80 acre parcel, and the front portion of this property is zoned C3 and the remainder is zoned A1. This is his site plan. It's the location of the building. He shows his gas pumps and his canopy out front. There's some existing trees that will remain along this property line and to the back of his property to screen the C3 use from the A1 zoning there. He's proposing an all brick facade. These are the elevations. And then this is a color rendering of the building. He's proposing a concrete parking lot. These are views of that property from Star Road. And this is out on 49. These are just adjoining properties. He's here today if you have any questions for him. If we approve it, please do it contingent upon receipt of the drainage plans that we haven't received those yet.
What are the hours, business hours that will be? Mr. Babber, will you come forward, please?
It's the same one before.
Yeah, but this not,
Fuel.
it's not gonna be a few.
Brad, this is not in my district. It
That's right.
does have a business in my district. It's probably the best kept, cleanest, sparkle, and he does tremendous amount of volume business.
That's the one on Hollywood?
Yeah.
I've
He'll
been there.
outsell everybody around him by 20 cents a gallon on his gas.
Yeah.
And it still keeps his parking lot spick and span, clean
I've
inside.
been in it, I know the one.
I'm not, I don't know anything other than his history with me. And
All
he's
right.
top notch.
And when it came in, it was kind of a questionable thing. Remember that?
Well,
I mean, we had those discussions on that.
it
and
was-
he
he-
did everything he asked.
He had like about 4 acres or 5. What he was asking was, at that time, rezone some, another, additional that would made for great parking,
Right.
great spacing. And people did not want to do that. Well, the same amount of cars come and get serviced because he does a good job and his prices are good, but it's crowded. And I hate that. I wish that we could have overcome that back a couple of years ago.
Good morning, Mr. Babber. State your name and your address for us.
Yes, sir. My name is Grinder Babber, go by Ricky,
Okay.
and I live in Germantown right now in Madison. But this service station we want to put for the community out there, and this is only going to be a convenience store. And we probably have the opening hours maybe like 5 a.m. in the morning to maybe 11 o'clock at night. Probably shut it down after 11 o'clock. I mean, it's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be 24 hours as of right now. We don't think it is going to be. But
Okay.
it's just gonna be family-owned business, like Mr. Steve said. We're still gonna offer the same gas prices in that area and help the community save some money up there. and still try to do the same job we're doing in Holly Bush Road.
Well, I know the big concern with a lot of the folks out there in the Star community, you first time come for a conditional use
Yes,
as
sir.
a truck stop.
Truck stop
And this
deal,
is
but-
not gonna be a truck stop, this is just a convenience store,
Yes,
gas
sir.
pumps. and-
We looked at it. Love Truck Stop just got built in McGee. It's pretty huge, and I think Dickerson gonna build there too in Delo or something.
Mhm.
So we just thought just to back out on Truck Stop deal and just do convenience store part of it. That's what we're good in anyway.
You will sell fuel though,
Yes, sir.
yeah, just won't have. the
Yeah, we
fuel
have
truck stop out.
we're gonna offer like a off-road for farm diesel out there. We have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends out there that need to off-road diesel. That will help them save 40 cents per gallon on diesel. Just
Right.
while they're bush hogging. So there's a lot of other things we can do besides just truck stop deal right now.
I got
We
you.
got a lot more offer we can offer.
Well, I know one question's gonna come up, and the reason I'm asking questions, the only thing that separates this from me is the road. I'm on the left side, I'm on the north side, and he's on the right, south side. So what's the question, come on, what are you gonna do with the other, aren't you having another building added to it? Isn't it gonna be another,
Go back to
Go-
your,
yeah,
the
go
brick
back to the-
facade, the front.
yeah,
Yeah.
That right there, yes, sir.
yeah, on the right,
Yes, sir.
okay, the question can be, what's that gonna be?
That's what me and Renee was thinking about one time. I do have a business in Ridgeland that is located right across the new city hall of Ridgeland on School Street and 51 Highway. It's a quick stop as well. It's in the shopping center of Max grocery store. And we have a pharmacist in that store. It's a choice one. She's like us. She's local, family-owned business.
Okay.
And we are thinking about bringing her in here for the pharmacist. It won't be no marijuana sale because we don't like to do that anyway.
That's what
Nah.
went through their heads completely, that's really, I'm asking you so I can help you.
Yes, sir. It'd be something what the neighborhood will need it. I mean, we will not do anything like, because we're not into that stuff
We'd
anyway.
have to approve that anyway, wouldn't
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
If it's C3, it's still conditional use in C3, so y'all set your zoning on that.
Okay.
There would be much discussion that would occur before that could happen as a dispensary setting.
So if it is, it'd be just more like Walgreens and Kroger's, like, you go in, pick up your regular
Right.
needs that you need from.
All right, and I guess the last question that I have, everybody's gonna access this off of Star Road. They won't have any access.
That's correct.
No, sir,
Okay.
because we don't have enough frontage, and plus the MDOT, the way the requirements is, we can meet those requirements on the
That's
star,
right.
on the Highway 49.
I didn't think so.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Okay.
you good?
Yeah, that's the only thing, I'm just asking questions that I know are gonna come up.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second, Mr. Gaines, any further discussion? Not all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign, motion carried.
I appreciate
Thank you.
you guys.
All
Thank
right.
you so much. Thank you.
All right, I guess we'll move to our nuisance property.
Good morning, gentlemen. First item under the nuisance considerations this morning is the Sherry Rory nuisance property. This will be at 337 Alliston Drive, it's District 1 property. At this time, I'll ask either Ms. Rory or whoever may be here on her behalf to prepare to come forward. And as soon as Ms. Renee's ready, she's going to demonstrate with the photos.
Good morning, Miss Laura.
Good morning.
All right, so we received a complaint on this property in July of this year in regard to inoperable vehicles, grass, rubbish and debris, inoperable appliances. Our certified mail was sent, and it was unclaimed. These pictures were taken September the 2nd. And these are the new pictures that were taken yesterday.
If you would, just state your name and your address for us. for the
Sherry
record.
Rory, 337 Alliston Drive, Florence.
All right.
These corrections have been made. The appliances are on trailers to go to our office. The vehicles all have been tagged, except for one, and it's our antique that we're working on.
You get an antique tag for it,
It's got one on
but it's been tagged then.
it.
The,
It's got an anti-tag.
the grass had not been cut. I had COVID. The whole family had COVID July and August. So, and plus we're in a gully, so when it rains, you can't get the lawnmower to cut because you get stuck. So the grass has been addressed, and I feel that all the violations have been corrected. The maroon truck has been removed. It was sold the other day. That's the only one I didn't get a tag for. The white service truck is not inoperable. It does have a tag on it as well.
I guess, what's the one, flip back Renee, one?
That maroon truck right
Yeah.
there was moved yesterday.
Yeah, it was sold.
It was moved yesterday.
And the appliances in the back
They're all on trailers for our company.
to, I mean.
They're not sitting on the concrete. They're actually on trailers that move in and out of the yard.
Well, I don't really see a real issue. The only thing I would say that would help you is if you had a way to move them a little more out of sight and maybe the miscellaneous
They were on the
things.
back property, but then people started complaining that we had stuff on the back property and that wasn't on trailers when clearly it was. They actually called,
This is the first I've heard about it, and I think y'all probably know, this is nothing we ride around, look for. This is something somebody calls and makes a complaint.
we know.
I wasn't even aware of it. But, it may help you, just like the tarpaulin, just to try to keep it neater, I'd say, just some miscellaneous things laying there. It may help, the feelings of somebody driving by. I mean, I don't really know what to really do.
But we can acknowledge that we've addressed the complaint, that corrective action has been taken, Jared.
Yeah.
You've got two choices at that point. You can either just go ahead and end the matter and take no action, or you can monitor it.
So
up to you.
I'd say, I think probably monitor it would be the thing. That way if it was a problem, at least,
You still have the
yeah.
proceeding to
See, the
take action.
monitoring part means you don't have to start all over and go through the whole process again. And I think that gives you time if you can move them over some or just, you know, whatever they're seeing. I mean, I see the, looks
They
like
see,
all the
they also
vehicles
see
are
my big
running.
boat in the front that's
Huh?
plugged. They also see a big boat in the front. They've said something about that. It's in the front and it's being charged because we take it out on weekends. They also have a problem with that as well.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen a whole lot worse than this. Now, the ones that are on trailers back there, are they they're gonna install them? Those are units, aren't they?
Those are for the scrap man to pick up.
Oh,
And my
okay, well,
neighbors know that.
Okay, well, that's what I was asking. Did you say they're for the business? That's actually, those are ones that have been removed, that the scrap man.
And they're all on trailers.
And I will say this, cause you know me, this is my business.
No.
Some of the ones on the trailer is some I'll probably donate to somebody, they're workable.
Yeah, they are
I'll
workable. So
donate
there
to
are,
somebody that don't,
there's 6 of them that will not go to the scrap
there.
and that is it.
that don't, that happens sometimes.
What kind of
I guess
units are they?
the quicker you can rotate them sometimes, the better. Rotate them as far as scrap, it's better, just that way people won't see it accumulating. That's all I'm trying to say, if you'll try to help.
Most of those are rotated, Jerry,
Yeah.
on there, that I just add back to it.
Yeah.
It's
Well, that's what I'm
scrap
saying.
man don't get
The
it.
more you,
Definitely add that to 'em.
quicker they move out, that way they don't look like it accumulates. That's what I'm trying to help you out there.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because you're kinda on the radar now, and so, you know, do a little something, I think would help, and we'll just monitor it.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So Jared's motion would be to take no action and to hold the matter open for a period of another 30
Yeah,
days
just-
to allow our staff to receive any additional communications.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
Might just say 60 days.
I mean, I don't, yeah, I think if you'll do what we're saying,
Rotate them.
just kinda move them where they're not there.
From
as
one
long.
side to the other.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, like the ones that are scrap, just get them to move them out a little quicker, that way they don't accumulate. Try to keep some accumulation down, I think that would help. All right,
So your motion is gonna be to monitor for 60 days and,
yeah, just monitor it and,
We can
We'll take
receive
no
a
action.
report back from the staff if necessary.
yeah, take no action.
all right, motion made, I'll second it.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right.
Item 2, Mr. President, is the Dennis and Loretta Bell nuisance property. This is at 1131 Barker Road. This is District 4 property. I'll ask Ms. Renee to demonstrate with the photos. If Mr. and Ms. Bell or whoever is here on their behalf would please step forward at this time.
All right, so we received a complaint on this property in July of this year in regard to inoperable vehicles, grass, rubbish, and inoperable appliances. The certified mail was received. Kathy got a response from the owner saying that they were almost through cleaning up the yard. They were remodeling, and he's not gonna be here today. So these were taken July 19th. And these are the new pictures that were taken yesterday.
All right, is anyone here to speak on this matter?
He said he wouldn't be here today.
All right, Mr. Gaines, what would you like to do?
You were out there. You were out there.
Yes, sir.
Was anyone living in the house?
I'm not sure, honestly. They didn't tell me if they were or wasn't. The windows are out of part of the
I saw that.
house. He said he's remodeling, so
Oh,
I'm
fine.
kinda wondering if they are living in the camper until they finish remodeling.
Was it a significant difference?
He has cleaned up the front yard a
Well-
lot.
Would y'all like to monitor it for 30 more days? Or,
I mean, it's not that, really that bad.
let's do that. Let's monitor it for 30 days.
The motion would be to
and,
continue the matter for 30 days, give the staff an opportunity to
Yeah.
kind of police it.
Let them, Kathy, let them know that at the end of 30 days, we really expect a finished product.
Well, it looks like windows sitting out on the side.
Yeah.
I do see windows over on the
Yeah,
side,
yeah.
leaning
Like
against
they
a
may be-
power
That's
pole
my,
or
that's my
something.
motion.
All right, motion made to monitor for 30 days,
Second.
second by Mr. Morrison. Any further discussion? Not all in favor, say aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carried. All right,
Item 3 on the nuisance considerations, Mr. President, Stephen Scott Nichols, nuisance property at 516 Rock Hill Road. This is a District 3 matter. Ms. Renee will demonstrate the photos. I'll ask if Mr. Nichols is present or anyone on his behalf, please step forward this time.
All right, so these pictures were taken in June of this year. We received a complaint about inoperable vehicles, grass, rubbish and debris, unsafe structures, dilapidated buildings, unsafe manufactured home. The owner called and talked to Kathy and said that he would clean up the property and get permits to repair and rebuild structures on the property. So these are the new pictures that were taken yesterday.
good morning, Mr. Nichols. Just state your name and your address for us.
Stephen Scott Nichols, 516 Rock Hill Road.
All right. I rode by there yesterday, and I mean, I did see you making improvements out there and everything. I mean, what's your plan to move forward?
I plan on rebuilding that. Look, when that fire happened that night, that cost me $500,000. And I planned on doing it in the spring, and I had a quadruple bypass. I've recovered through the summer. I have every intention of rebuilding that building back. I got enough metal there to do half of it right now. Just a matter of getting out there and doing it.
Right.
And I don't know what to do with that mobile home. I mean, I thought I might could rebuild it. How do I get rid of it?
I mean, there are people that will come out and buy it and strip it down and
Can they
haul
move it?
off.
Can they let me move it? If somebody buys it, can they move it? Because my nephew sold it to somebody.
We're not gonna let
He's
it
in
come back up in Rankin County. I
Yeah.
mean, it's out of date and I mean, I think now the limits of at least a
jail.
20.
Years, isn't it?
He sold it and they didn't come get it, huh?
Well, I mean, I guess I could remodel it, rent it out. My main concern is getting that building back. I still use that building.
Yeah.
I got $30,000 worth of tools sitting in it.
Yeah.
The remodeling though, we would have to inspect it and see, it may not be feasible for you.
Yeah, and I'm kind of there too. My
Bring
main
it code.
concern is get the building put back together.
Yeah.
I know it got pretty hot in there and it warped a little, some of the metal, so the structure
Usually
itself.
the two ends are what's messed up, and that's the main problem is rebuilding the end. And then, like I said, I plan on doing it.
It was a structural steel building, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a metal,
Right.
red iron beam
Yeah, right.
building.
That's what I thought so looking at.
It got hot, the two ends. And there's still a lot of stuff in there. A lot of that needs cleaning up. But there's a $80,000 CNC machine sitting right there by that pole. And the reason I let all this grow up is because we're stealing all my stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a boat stolen from that parking lot. I had 2 air compressors stolen out of that building. So I said, well, if I let the grass grow, people can't see in there. My stuff will quit coming out.
Well, I mean.
And it did. People quit stealing my stuff.
I know of some of the people that live around there, and they said, I mean, they don't have problem. Somebody rode by and
Yeah.
called our office, and of course,
I understand y'all's position too. I just need a little help right there. I don't have the money to go borrow the money and build that building back. I need to do it in sections, or, you know, try to do it that way. I didn't wanna go borrow the money.
if you keep it bush hogged around there and we don't get any more complaints, we won't have to take it up
Okay.
again and keep.
And like I say, I
keep
let
the
it
property.
grow up for that main reason, cause, I mean, they rolled a 2-wheeler in there and stole my air compressor. They unbolted one of them from the ground and took out of the concrete and stole it. And it's like. what do
Well,
I
I
do?
mean, if you had a wood picket fence across there, they still would go behind
Yeah.
it and get.
I'm fixed to get started on that.
Okay.
I mean, it was springtime, it was too hot, I mean,
You got perfect weather now. Perfect weather now.
Oh, it
just won't-
is.
It just won't last long.
and work has been busy, I gotta make a living too, so, there we are.
Well, we just gonna monitor it and just keep doing what you're doing and keep the grass
I'll get it
nice and neat
straightened.
around there
See,
for
I
us.
need the building back, cause I need the room.
All right,
All right.
appreciate y'all.
Good, thank you.
All right.
Can I leave that?
Y'all got all contact information? Good.
So do I.
Yes, sir, that would be your motion, Brad, is to monitor. I'd say just put it on a 60-day time
I go,
clock.
I mean, I'm right there, I go by it all the
Yes, sir.
time, so I mean,
You can monitor.
I can monitor. I'll monitor for y'all.
Brad's motion is that he will monitor it.
Do I need to make that as a
Yes,
motion?
just do a
All right.
motion that no action's taken, we're gonna monitor for 60 days.
Well,
Motion,
actually,
yeah, motion,
You're gonna
to
monitor.
no action be taken, and I'll monitor myself.
now.
Do I have a second? Second from Mr. Gaines. Any other discussion? Not, all in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. All right, property reviews.
President, the first item under the property review section, let me set this up for you guys. Ms. Purser and, although we hadn't met, Ms. Purser has interacted fairly frequently with our community development office. This is the situation that you guys have addressed on a couple of occasions. First with Mr. Purser himself, when it came to light that construction activity had occurred in Aldridge Estates, this is in Daniels District, platted subdivision. Mr. Aldridge and his wife purchased one of the undeveloped lots in the subdivision. This is a subdivision that had built out for the most part, but there were I think a couple of vacant lots still in the subdivision development, but there's existing houses in the subdivision. It's a platted subdivision. I believe it's accessed off 471, if I'm not mistaken, and it would be on the west side, 471, as you're headed north. Ms. Purser's lot is at the end, I believe, at the end of the main drive, and is in the cul-de-sac area of the development. And so what had happened was there was some lot clearing, and then what I believe could best be described as something like a shipping container was brought in and placed on the lot. It was brought to the staff's attention. The staff investigated what was going on and discovered that Ms. Purser had initiated some construction activity without having acquired a permit, and so a stop work order was issued. You guys convened a separate review last month, and we invited the residents of the neighborhood to come. Ms. Purser was also invited to come. I don't think he could attend. At any rate, the neighbors showed up en masse with a petition indicating to you that they did not wish for any of the planned activity on this lot to occur because, primarily, the activity would violate the restrictive covenants of the neighborhood that are in place. We pointed out to those folks that the county, this Board of Supervisors, does not enforce private restrictive covenants, but we certainly don't like to be in a situation where we authorize activity to occur on a lot that we know is governed by restrictive covenants, and if we allow what is proposed to go forward, we would be knowingly allowing someone to violate the restrictive covenant. So we want to stay out of that situation. And I think this board committed that we would not allow the planned activity. So Ms. Purser was invited to come back today to explain to the board what his intentions are with respect to a couple matters. Number one, what is he intending to build on the property? And will that be in compliance both with your zoning regulations and your building code enforcement responsibility? And will he be in compliance with the neighborhood restrictive covenants? So that's why Mr. Purser was invited to come and speak to you about those matters. So that matter is open. I think Mr. Purser's here. He's welcome to come forward and to help us better understand what his intentions are.
Good morning, Mr. Purser. Just state your name and your address for the record.
Paul Purser, 759 Aldridge Drive. I wanted to start just by apologizing. Last time I couldn't make it, I got the flu a couple of days before and was just sick and couldn't arrange for anybody to come or anything like that. Initially, in the first meeting we had, I mentioned that me and my wife had these plans to build this house out here. We were told when we bought the lot that none of the covenants came into play, which realized since then that that is not true. So we have spent some time redesigning what we wanted to build out there to meet the covenants, and we've submitted those plans to the building department. They have them now. The plans we submitted meet the code. I believe they meet your zoning regulations, and this container in the back could be called a utility container, which is allowed in the covenants for shop use, whatnot. And that's what we'd like to propose to get into compliance with the zoning regulations and all that.
So what you're building is, I guess you're not building anything, you just have it there. This is just a storage unit you're placing on this property?
Yes, sir, and we're putting a roof over the top of it.
But does that go with the covenants of the area?
Yes, sir.
It does meet the covenants of the area?
Yes, sir. They allow for a utility shed, whatnot, as long as it's behind the house, and is in harmony with the design, which we have siding on this, and there's siding on the house.
So you're gonna just put 4 posts in the ground on each corner and build a roof over the top of
Yes, sir.
what's there now to keep
Yes,
the water
sir.
from.
I think you are submitting plans for building a house or home
I think that's what he's got up there.
right here, right? I mean, that
Can
makes
I
a
bring
lot of
these?
difference.
I have some drawings here for you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
The home is 2,400 square feet, which I think the minimum size
Very
is
contemporary.
1,700.
Very contemporary.
So is the
Jared
home,
tells us that a flat roof is gonna leak. Is that true?
Well, it's not flat. That does
Oh,
have a
okay.
112 pitch on it.
I'm scared
little
of,
fall to
I'm
it.
scared of, and that's none of my business what kind of roof, I guess, whether it's flat or
Well,
not.
this is 2 different things. This is a house and that's gonna be a
Right.
utility
That's his,
shed.
out shed or whatever you call it.
And that's at the
Yeah.
back of the property line, 25 feet from the edge of the back, which is 2.5 acre lot, so it's pretty far off the main road.
right, but this isn't this, right? These aren't the same thing. This is
No.
not gonna be built around that, right?
No,
As a
no,
center
these
core of
are
the house. They're 2
100
totally
feet
separate
apart.
structures.
House is
That's
going
right.
in front of
Yes,
this.
So this
So
is
this will be in the
storage
back
area.
of the house,
Yes,
behind
sir.
the house.
And no
Yes, sir.
person's gonna occupy this spot.
That's
don't you think?
correct.
Right.
Are you gonna build the house right away? Is it gonna be built as
We-
this is going up, or are you talking a 5-year plan? Or-
No, within the next year, for sure. We're working with the bank right now. I got a call from the appraiser this morning. They're appraising the plans. We've been approved for the loan. We just kind of got to go through that whole process of getting everything appraised and checked out. I mean, depending on y'all's recommendation, we can start work next week, you know?
So I guess my question is, other than the building permit side of the structure, do we have anything that would cause any kind of hangups on building this storage unit behind the house, other than go through our permit process?
Just go through the
And
permit process.
this does comply with the covenants of that area,
Yes, sir.
correct? We got nowhere to check
That'd be
that.
between them though.
It's not our job to enforce
That's
that
right.
piece of it,
Yeah.
but I think just from a neighborly standpoint, clear communication to the folks that were here represented.
Yeah, have you spoke to anybody in the neighborhood area?
Where's that?
Well, I went around, I think, the week before I got the flu and talked to all my neighbors and gave them a letter, just introducing myself, my family, that we wanna be, neighbors here, this is what we wanna build. and-
This side of the barn.
Because at the end of the day, you don't want hostility. You gotta live there, right? I mean, that's the people
That's
that are
right.
around you. You wanna be a
I don't
good.
want it between y'all and us, and I don't want it between my neighbors and us.
Yeah, well, it's not gonna be between us. We're good. I just
Yeah.
wanna be sure the neighborhood and the people that are around you are good.
Yes.
So we just want harmony is all we want.
they have
Sure.
architectural review committee?
I
No,
don't
there's
believe
no
so.
established HOA, they've never met.
It's just covenants of the developer, I guess, that placed in.
So I think just as just as a matter of courtesy, it might be helpful to you because we're gonna have to take the brunt of communications from the neighbors. It might be helpful for you to communicate to your neighbors, hey, a house that complies with the covenants is coming. And what you're seeing out there is my utility shed that just so happened I accidentally made that happen before the house. And I apologize for that. Normally you would do your utility shed after your house is underway, right? But I got a little ahead of things, so you're gonna see my utility shed until my house gets built, but then you won't see it.
I'd be happy to do that.
That would be an awesome thing
I
to do,
mean,
because that will cut down communications here and here. And, it'll help us, chart a new course for this deal. My encouragement also, tell the board how many heated and cooled square feet are your.
Well, it's around 2,400.
Okay.
All right, one of the things that we have that petition by that area, right, Ms. Fernandez? We have that on
We do.
file
Mhm.
somewhere?
We do.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
We can share that with Mr. Purser from the
Yes,
same side, because what I'd like for you to do is talk to the people that are here. These are the people that are just, and the reason, the people have nothing against you, it's just the unknown, that they don't know what's coming and they think it may be something that doesn't, well, that would affect the values of their homes, right? So we just wanna be sure that if we're transparent about it, we have our communication. I don't see why they would have a problem with this home being built in front of this structure, long as this home isn't this structure, right? I don't wanna take this shell and design or create some kind of home on top of it so it's in a box, right? And you understand my thoughts and concerns on living in that box, right? It's just a straight safety concern, right? And that's what gets me. So as long as we don't have people dwelling in this storage shed, right? And then we're gonna construct this home in front of it, and then we go have the communication with the people that are there, I'm good at that point, right? So I don't know if this needs to be tabled until we have that simple discussion. I don't wanna slow you down on the process of it, but if you can expeditiously talk to these people and get that process going, I don't have a problem on approving it, so we don't have to come back to a planning commission meeting, contingent on the communication back with this letter of, I don't wanna call them complaints, but letters of concern that we've got. I wanna be sure those parties match. If they're good, I'm good from that standpoint, right? If everybody's dancing together, I'm happy, right? I just wanna be, I don't want you to have to come back 30 days from now, just say, oh yeah, I talked to all these people. So I don't know how you wanna word that, Slay.
That's a couple of things that would be helpful. Ms. Mercer, if I can, let me speak here so that the video picks it up. There's a couple of things that I think we need, just sort of make sure that the record is clear about what we're doing. This is a review. Mr. Purser has submitted these renderings and some plans to the building department for purposes of acquiring a building permit. At 2,400 feet, single-family dwelling, this looks to me like it complies with the restrictive covenants. Although we don't enforce those, I don't see a conflict there with what is being proposed, okay? They don't have a architectural review, so no need for going through all of that stuff. So as long as he can clear the building permit requirements on a single-family dwelling, that's 2,400 heated and cooled square feet, give or take, then I think just as a courtesy, before we issue the permit, I would like for Mr. Purser to communicate to the neighbors what that shed is all about.
Yeah, and I'll add one, that's exactly right, Slay. And so, but I guess the one person you probably could start with is Mr. Grayson. I think his contact number, he spoke for the group was here. So he may be the designated unofficial spokesperson, but start with Mr. Grayson, that's there. explain to him what you're doing and allow him maybe to help you spread the word throughout the group of residents that signed the petition, right?
So there is contact information on that, because I went around knocking on
think-
everybody's door, and he was.
I believe we have that, don't we, Renee?
We do.
All right, so,
And we
Mr.
made
Slay,
him a
that
copy.
that would
It's
be
got
my
phone
intention, so
numbers,
just contingent on,
addresses.
There's one other thing that I wanted to get on the record so that Mr. Purser could hear it. The board is quite sensitive, and rightfully so, to small, tiny, occupied, dwelling-like structures. We're sensitive to that, and we're nervous about that. And it needs to be clear, this is in a platted subdivision development. We do not intend for there to be inside Aldrich Estates any sort of setup that provides for a tiny house or a small dwelling that is occupied by humans. Even for short-term rentals, there won't be any VRBO activity in this subdivision zone. Okay? That needs to be.
Has that come up
Yeah,
previously?
it has. And when we look at renderings and proposals that were originally submitted, it very much looked like that's where we were headed. All it was couched in terms of play areas for children and yoga studios and other things. So we're very sensitive about dwellings that are occupied by humans. We are allowing a storage utility structure, and it will not be occupied even temporarily, other than for going in and coming out. It won't be occupied by humans. I want that on the record and very clear. No rentals of any kind. Okay?
All right,
Yep.
so your motion's gonna be to.
yeah, it's gonna be contingent on the, I don't wanna call it the approval, but contingent on the discussion of the neighbors that are in that area and compliance with everybody's views and understanding of the type of property that's coming. I wanna be sure that's good. Once that comes back, and I don't know if you put this in the motion or whatever, but I need feedback from this group of people,
Or Mr.
Two.
Grayson.
or Mr. Grayson,
Yeah.
that's fine. He can speak for the group, I'm fine with that. If he, I hate to put that on his back, but he can do that. And speak to Ms. Renee's office on the understanding of that. Upon that, I'm good on proceeding on that, as long as everybody understands what we're doing.
What kind of documentation would you require me to submit for that?
I just need a simple communication
A
with
phone call
Renee's
or an
office.
email, yeah.
I'm good with that, or an email's fine, that, from Mr. Grayson saying that we've talked to the Pursers and we understand what's happening, and this is gonna go along with the covenants that are in that area. It's not an official HOA, but they do still feel personally responsible for their own covenants, because they try to maintain their own property around the covenants, right? So they all have a vested interest in that. So that's the communication back to this office.
You make a great point, Daniel. I want to help everybody understand. The presence or absence of an HOA makes no difference at all to the enforceability of covenants. Individual property owners have the right to enforce the covenants. Don't have to have an HOA to do that.
Right.
Therefore, individual property owners have come before this board en masse with a petition saying, we are not in favor of anything that violates our covenants. So they are on record. We need to clear that by having one or more of them indicate we're good with the plan and with the understanding. We're good with a
Because it's the
single-family
individual
dwelling.
property owner's responsibility to maintain their
that's correct.
covenants,
Well,
right? That's
and,
kinda,
I mean, I guess for the record, I mean, the first time we were presented this, it was building a house out of a container.
Yes, sir.
And, I mean, now the container's gonna be a storage facility,
Yes.
and he's building a 2,400
That's
square
correct.
foot house.
Last thing, Daniel, I know this feels like belaboring the point, but I'm trying to make sure that Renee knows where we're headed here. Mr. Purser's action of bringing the facility, the storage facility onto the property is a violation of your permit regulations. It's a violation. Typically, what we do in that situation is that once we get into compliance, we double the permit fee as a fine for the violation. We need direction. Is that the desire of the board here? Do we double the permit fees that will be necessitated here?
yeah, I don't wanna do
I
that.
don't.
I don't wanna add an additional fee to you on that we should have known better to put these things without permission, but somehow we forget.
It
I
happens.
think it's right. So I'm not gonna do that. I just want harmony, right? And I want harmony that we're applying by, the harmony is built around the music sung by the covenants. That's where the music starts. So if we can all dance to the covenants music and everybody's together, then we're in a good spot,
Okay.
right?
Thank
So
you for that
I don't know
direction.
how we put that in a word motion. Maybe
This
you
is
can
really
clean that
not
up.
an action thing. I think you
Direction,
guys have
right?
indicated to your staff
So you don't
what
need
they
a
to
motion
do.
from me, you just need lyrics,
I just
right?
want assent. I just want you
Perfect.
guys to be on the same page about how we're gonna handle this.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Renee, you good?
Okay.
Good?
All right,
All right.
just so it won't get tripped up. If you issue something on what you're actually gonna, how you gonna finish this storage building, you're talking about putting the top over it, I think you're gonna probably want something that shows what that's gonna be too.
Well, it's gonna be four
So-
poles
You gonna
with
follow
metal
with
So
roof.
that?
the neighbors will know what's going on.
Yeah, it's included in this document that I submitted to you.
Okay,
We've got the plan.
you got it, okay. I just really want that to come back and bite you in the tail. Okay.
All right. Appreciate it, Mr. Purser.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Percy.
Thank you for working with us.
Both pages, both pages.
All right. Number two, Spencer.
Yes, sir. Another property review here, guys, is Mr. Spencer Becker, Old South Excavation. This is a review of a previously issued conditional use permit. This is a mining operation that's an exempt mining operation that is located on Rankin Road near Highway 80, okay? So I'm curious if Mr. Beckwith.
That's a good-looking road.
Here. I don't see Mr. Beckwith here.
Chip seal. I'll show you some of those. Some of my next
So, to set the table for you guys, communications have been received from some of the neighboring property owners about issues like dust, debris in the road, noise issues, hours of potential hours of operation violations. You guys set hours of operation on this particular facility. It started at 8 a.m. And it proceeds in the summertime all the way until basically till sunset, sometime around 7 p.m., I think it was, is when we cut it off. So we're getting into a time of year now where at some point they're gonna have to start dialing back because it's gonna get dark earlier. But nonetheless, we think that some of the complaints are that activity is beginning well before 8 a.m. And so we wanted to have this opportunity to give a review with the applicant and the permit holder.
Not here.
I don't
So-
see them here.
Yeah, okay, so that's what's going on.
Want me to show these pictures? Do you want me to show the pictures?
Please, and so Ms. Renee's gonna demonstrate with photos.
Craig, it's my understanding that, well, is the applicant here? I mean, I'm not the applicant, but the,
Permit holder?
yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Yeah, that was,
No,
that was Board Robinson. He lives out in, Woodbridge.
Yeah,
I don't think.
That might be him. No, that ain't.
that's not him either.
That ain't him.
Look, this is,
Okay,
they have,
716 is,
I guess a contract or whatever to provide the dirt for the National Guard building that is going up in Rankin County. It's
Off of Marquette.
right, yeah, Marquette Road, right in the same district, and I think that, it's, I know you don't wanna live right next to the dirt pit that's providing the dirt, but it's short-lived. We think maybe by the end of this week, that will be gone, they'll have provided the dirt that they were expected to do,
Road work would.
and they will be, it'll drop significantly, to the point that I doubt there's much activity. But this is one of those things that sometimes you have to serve and serve on a jury, or you have other ways that you serve your country. Well, we're doing this with our National Guard. We're providing the dirt for our own army. And, there are pains, but they're short-lived. We'll be through with it, and I'm sorry that people have had to hear or see a lot of trucks. The road has a place in it. Mike has already, he looked at it over the weekend. I mean, he's been right on top of it. There was no reason to go in there and try to patch that as long as they were running the truck.
right.
When they get done, that'll be taken care of. When I was there, there was a broom and the road looked like this. They had swept it, I think Mike told me that they're supposed to sweep it every day. And anyhow, I
What about the
would-
hours of operation?
yeah, I think
That's all.
that was an error. It should have been, I would move it back to 7.
7 a.m.
Yeah, yeah,
Just make them comply to the hours of operation?
yes.
So,
And I mean, Steve, they've been sweeping in the evenings when they get through, but like you said, they've had to haul excessive amount of dirt to this
And
national.
it's been mighty dry, and we've had some winds, 15 mile an hour.
But I talked to, Spencer the other day, and he was getting a water truck to
Yeah.
start watering the road, but I mean, you water it and it's dry in 10 minutes when you got that many trucks coming out, so. He's working on.
Have to water it more then.
Getting a little better than what he had.
Right. Solution here is to get finished with that armory job. So hopefully that can happen very quickly.
how many square feet is that armory gonna be, the National Guard armory?
You're gonna make a liar out of me. I think it's 16,000 square feet, Brad.
I
think that's
somewhere
right.
around that 20,000.
Yes, sir. So my thought process, Steve, would be that we've conducted the review, we can make the report back to the individual that raised the issues, that the board has addressed it, expects the activity to slow down dramatically, within the next 30 days.
Or less.
Yes, sir. And that any issue with the road itself will be addressed immediately after the armory construction has, or the dirt hauling part of the armory construction is completed.
Thank you.
Okay, for his answer, I mean, just his comeback, is there, this pit won't have been dug out by then, will it?
I'm not sure. I'm being real careful to
It's
not
gonna
say, Jared,
keep on going if you got another project
activity will
I don't,
stop.
I don't know that he has another project.
But I mean, if another one
but
comes up, yeah.
I'm sure if somebody built a house, you
Yeah,
know, bad.
or another large project, yeah.
He's just got a 4-acre exempt, but I think he is planning to expand that.
Yeah, so he can go back for another 4 acre. So my thought, guys, would be, well, here's this, if he goes for another 4 acre permit, he's gotta go back through our conditional use process anyway, and we can revisit compliance from this activity at that time.
If not, we're gonna have a continual problem with the
Yeah,
road
and I
from
think
there
at
to
some
there.
point, what we're gonna be talking about, Jared, is, that he's gonna be required, to have a water truck on site during all activity.
No, I mean, you're gonna have a continual problem with the road
Yeah.
if they continue it on long term,
Yes, sir.
you know.
Well, and I think at some point, we may be discussing, additional protective measures that he may have to have
Yeah.
to protect Rankin Road.
Dwayne, I didn't think you could do that anymore. You can't. What he'll have to do after he mines the 4 acres, he'll have to get the full mining permit then. And that, the only way he could do that would be to reclaim that 4 acres and then submit, but I mean, you can't, it's almost.
Oh, he has to re-
impossible to do.
You gotta be so many
It is.
away from it.
He'll just expand his permit is what he'll do.
All right.
He'll have to get a full-blown.
Full-blown mining permit.
How much is he like now on the 4 acre?
He
Just-
he could probably be through if he, with the way he's running now, he could probably be through in a month.
Oh, so this job could take the 4 acre? Okay, all right, gotcha.
All right, any other discussion? If not, I guess our next, planning commission is gonna be November the 3rd at 9 a.m. Do I have a motion to adjourn out of the planning?
Motion adjourned.
Second.
All right, motion made by Mr. Morrison, second by Mr. Gaines. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right. At this time, I'd like to call the Rankin County Board of Supervisors meeting to order, and do we have a motion on the consent agenda?
Yep, so moved.
Motion made by Mr. Cross, I'll second myself, on the consent agenda. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Who wants to handle Mr. Sullivan?
I don't mind taking, I'll take it.
All right, go ahead.
So, I'll make a motion to approve item A under Mr. Sullivan's tax assessor to, I talked to Lance about this the other day. This is that aerial photography stuff that we were talking about. And this is a much better deal that I think they've got set up than what we had 2 years ago, maybe,
Okay.
19 or 20. I can't remember which year it was, but this is a good deal as far as getting, our information recorded on that aerial footage, so I'll make a motion to approve.
And I'll second it myself. Any more discussion? Not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Miss Caroline Gilbert, you want us to do yours? Or
You mean to do Miss Caroline's for us?
Yes, Alan, you
I'm
got
gonna
it.
recommend to approve items A and B for Miss Caroline Gilbert. She reads this far better than I do, but one of them is going to a course at, Table 100, and the other one's to reissue a check. So, I'll make a motion to approve both of those.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Gaines. Any more discussion? Not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
I'll handle Mr. Parker's too. Try to get us back on this time schedule here.
Hey, we knocking them on out now.
Hey, just let me go through this deal right here.
For the record, because the counties don't close it that way, that Miss Caroline Gilbert
Yeah,
is
that's
here,
closure.
and Stacy is with her
Yeah.
here. So y'all know that they're here.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have one item. It's on SAP 6118M. That's the state aid overlay project. State aid requires that the board approve all subcontracts, and APAC has submitted subcontracts with American Field Service Corporation, Mill It Up LLC, A1 Sealing Inc., and Traffic Control Products Inc. We're recommending approval of those subcontracts.
Motion.
All right, motion made, Mr. Gaines. I'll second it myself. Any discussion? Not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right,
I could have done that faster, I think.
Mr. Slade.
I was worried Danny was gonna start down my
No,
section.
no, I don't want, only one I'd let do your section's Word, and he's not here, so.
That's right. Item A, under my section, Mr. President, set the public hearing for October 3 for the Donnell and Sandra Warren rezoning request that we talked about in the planning commission.
I'll make a motion to set that
Second.
for October 3rd, second by Mr. Morris. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carried.
Gentlemen, as promised, we are at the point now where the submission of our ARPA state match application is before us. The intention, by the way, is for the application to go into the portal today. And so I have one additional matter that I need you to take for me, which is the adoption of a formal resolution that has within it certain actions that are required as a part of your application process. And so I have that resolution prepared for us. The first is that the board president is authorized to actually execute the application on behalf of the board. The second is that we are authorizing the board president to serve as the authorized representative for your grant program or state match program itself. And so somebody's got to be the point of contact, and we would request that we establish the board president as that primary point of contact. The Board of Supervisors is granting signatory authority with full authority to execute all documents for the grant program to the board president. And the supervisors acknowledge that the grant program itself, the receipt of any funds that are awarded to Rankin County are subject to all federal, state laws and regulations. This again is a part of the application itself. You are approving without reservation all aspects of your components that make up your state match program, all 29 of your components, which total in excess of $50 million, are being authorized, approved, certified, whatever word that DEQ is looking for. You're granting that information and that certification in this resolution. That's a belt and suspenders approach to making sure that we've got good compliance with all the application language. We don't want to leave any points on the table. And so we have a broad spectrum authorization. Last and finally is that you specifically find, as it relates to each and every program and program element, that your watershed protection and restoration program, which is what we're submitting, is a necessary investment as that term is defined under federal law. And this has to do with federal contracting, federal grant programs. We need to make a finding that these investments are necessary. And so that's what you're doing in this resolution. I would ask for a motion to adopt and approve this resolution, authorize the board president to execute it. Authorize Mr. Swales to execute it as the clerk of the board, and to do so immediately so that I can hand it to Miss Sam and get it scanned and emailed to me, like immediately, so I can send it to Hayden Overby and we can get this application submitted.
All right.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
This last, two-page document, the very last page. Why is there a line separating some of these projects?
So that's an internal thing for your team as we delineate which are the projects above the line are projects, Jay, that in our application we are indicating as of today, necessary and required permitting is acquired. If it's above that darker line, it's in a state where we can proceed. If it's below the line, we are indicating in the application, and it's a Phase B application, so we're submitting two applications, Phase A, Phase B, and then a third.
No, I read that too, so we're in two phases,
Yes,
that's
sir.
with the small type.
So that's what that delineate, that's an internal delineation for me to remember which of the projects are ones that we are having to say in our application. We know that we have to have additional permit before we can proceed.
Such as core or something, or?
Yes, sir. Corps of Engineers.
I'll give you an example. Hypothetically, if we were gonna do a project in Mill Creek, right?
But that's
Around
not
that area.
below the line.
You're correct.
Yeah, but so what you would do in that situation is you'd have to go to the Corps.
But
So
no, that's not below the line.
Yes, sir.
yeah, but what I'm saying is, you go to the Corps in June, you submit the documentation that's there, they said, don't worry, it's just probably gonna be about 60 days and it'll be there. And they lose it, and they realize that, hey, this came from Rankin County, and they put it in a folder that says, do not touch. Like, you seen those glasses like fire extinguishers break only in case of fire? That's what the Corps does when they get stuff from our group. So they put it over there and they hadn't had a fire, so they didn't break it, but it's sitting over there lost, and it never comes back. So at some point, a year from 2 months from now, I'm not on this board any longer, y'all gonna say, whatever happened to that application that they submitted over to the Corps in dealing with Mill Creek? And everybody's just gonna say, it ain't no big deal, it's just a break in case of glass, same situation. So that's,
So my District 5
That's a good question, though.
supervisor
That's a good question,
has
okay.
done exactly what I always predict he will do, and that is to ask questions about things that we're working on and moving towards, and he never fails to provide me with questions that need to be addressed, that where the answer is fairly complex. So let me restate. As of today, and I want my supervisors to concentrate with me. As of today, we are providing DEQ with an application that says, as of today, we believe that each of the Phase A projects have received all required permits. Okay? If it's above the line, it is a part of the package that says we have received all known required permits. Okay? The ones that are below the line, those are projects where we do not and cannot, on the front end, say that.
Well, then what are you waiting on? I mean, what are they lacking?
They are lacking.
I mean, I see right here, it says one, a hydraulic study capacity.
Yes, sir.
But then I don't see where it says it on what the others are waiting on.
Yeah, so are you looking at this document, Jared? Yes, right. So let's just look at those last eight projects that are there.
Yeah.
The Indian Creek Bank Stabilization, Gunner Shenandoah, that one's probably got to have more hydrologic analysis, and therefore there is not sufficient information available at this time. Keep it straight, engineer. There's not sufficient information at this time for us to make a qualified scientific guess as to whether or not we have to have additional core permitting.
Okay, so who you waiting on?
The Corps.
No, I think that's probably more of our own engineers needing additional hydrologic data That has not yet been acquired for those 8 projects right there.
Okay.
These are projects, by the way, these are ones where the engineers, at first blush, all they had to do was just kind of look at the project scope, and they could say, that one right there is gonna require a lot more engineering data.
So
So
all
we-
these down here are in that same situation?
All of the 8, yes,
That's
sir.
what I'm saying, below the line.
It's going to be applied for, Jared. And applications, it's not like we're not asking for matching funds. We are. They are just being asked as a part of an application that we know is likely not to score as well as the ones above the line. Here's the thinking. We don't want to submit all 29 when what is likely to happen is that any one of the 29, because it needs permitting, ends up scoring us 0 on project readiness. We carved out the ones that we knew would likely sink us on our project scoring. Above the line, we feel pretty good about scoring high on project readiness. Below the line, we're not so sure what we're gonna get, but at least they're segregated, and how those 8 get scored will not impact how the 21 above the line gets scored.
And I guess my question is, and maybe I'm just way off on a lot of this right here, did we not pay for an overall hydrology study
That's what I'm asking.
in the county 2 years ago?
That's
A
why
year?
I'm saying,
I don't
why are
remember
we,
that.
what are we waiting on? Because we went down this road 2-3 years ago. And we listed all this, and they knew all
I was of the
this.
impression, and I could be talking about 2 different, I may be talking about apples and oranges, but I was of the impression that we did this countywide water study, right? To have it all put in a nice folder for 200 grand, that we set aside, that when we come to this point on the federal side or state side, or when money was found available, we take this book and say, hey, here we go, right here. Then we went down the road of getting this money back early this spring-ish time frame, that we knew we were gonna apply this documents here. So even above the line, do we have everything that was turned in for that? Is that complete
Yes.
data?
Yes, yes.
So we just didn't get everything in time to the deadline?
That's my understanding. That's my understanding. It's the ones below the line are projects that were identified early as having to have significant additional
And it looked to me
hydrologic
like they
analysis.
might would've worked a little harder on some of those if we're gonna need a little more. Or we just gonna pick the easy ones, so we can get paid for them, we're gonna.
No, Jared, all 29,
I know.
All
I'm with Daniel,
29.
we've been paying out, and I'm a little disappointed that we got some below a line.
Yeah.
Because we've been paying for this and knowing this was coming.
Right.
And they knew all this money probably was coming, and,
It just feels like
just-
every single time we get to it, and I know you're the messenger standing up here
Yeah.
taking all the flack, and it's not
Yeah.
you, Slade,
Yeah.
so
I'm not telling you, yeah.
I'm venting because, make Keith stand up behind a podium, let me get him for a minute. But I guess what I'm saying is, we keep
Yeah.
missing the mark on all of our targets.
Yeah.
That we get lined up in our scope, and then we all of a sudden we figure out, oh, we missed this, or we didn't have this, we didn't know this was coming. I know ARPA's new, it's never been
Right.
done before, it's all new stuff, but I'm irritated that we keep missing our targets and our goals and our times, and from the citizen side of it, I know there's a ton of moving parts and there's a lot of
Right.
things that are there,
right.
but we're trying to make widgets and we can't make widgets.
Well,
You know, for
I'm
some
not,
reason.
I'm not
Uh,
defending, I don't wanna be understood
No.
as defending anything, but I
No,
think there
no,
is something that needs to be
You're just
clear.
hearing it, I know,
Yeah.
I tell them the same thing, I wish they were
Yeah.
standing
Yeah.
here, I could tell them the same thing, because you start telling the citizens,
They don't
or
care.
the citizens
They don't
find
care,
out it's
yeah.
going here, well, how come this didn't happen? Cause you're below the line.
Well,
Well,
but-
let me, no,
Because the incompetency doesn't set with the groups that are not getting this stuff in. The
Well,
incompetency sits in 5 seats right over here.
Right.
no, I
And
understand.
that's the frustrating side.
Keep in mind something. Yeah, until there was a state match program, we didn't have 29 components. If we had been told early, there ain't gonna be no state match money. Sorry, nice try, we're not going to match. But when the lieutenant governor came out and said, we're gonna have our own mark of money, and I think what we ought to do is we ought to match cities and counties and wastewater and stormwater. When he came out and said that, that charted a course for us where we realized for the first time, oh my goodness, we may be able to double our money.
Right.
So we took the original work product of 2018 and we started evaluating if we could land dollar for dollar matches, how many more than the first 10 or 11, how many more things could we do if we got matching funds? That was the genesis and the birth of
If we do get
this.
the ones below the line do not get funding, I'm gonna suggest we go a different route by the time we have to come in and have
Well,
to make
but
a
no,
second application.
but I guess the fearful side of that is, well, the questionable side, are they already working below the line?
That's what I was gonna say, are
You
they
see what I'm
doing
saying?
anything
They're gonna
with
say,
it?
well, you're too far ahead, you can't, if you do this, you're gonna go backwards again. My whole fear on the whole situation
No
is,
matter, we can take what we've paid for and move on.
Precisely, you're not
I mean,
committing to
how do we
construct
know they're
anything.
even working
I'm
below the
with you.
line?
You're not committing to construct anything. What's been done below the
Sounds like they're
line
not.
is preliminary work. The reason it's below the line is because we know on the front end, we are not going to score for project readiness if those 8 projects are in our application. That's why we split them into 2 applications. We've got one application with 21, that's above the line, that we feel really good about being able to score well on project readiness. We don't want these 8 to drag the good score possibility down just by virtue of one of them not being able to score well on project readiness. And here's the thing, and this is where it gets into a clear understanding so that y'all know I'm not defending anybody, but there was not clarity. It did not make any sense to anybody, by the way, that for stormwater management projects, if you could show that you had significant hydrologic analysis, significant interaction with the core, and the only thing missing is waiting on the core to finally get around to issuing a permit, you should score some points. What we didn't know and didn't learn until we were well into this process, by way of asking a question to DEQ so that it could show up on a FAQ, we asked the question, is there a way to get partial credit if we can demonstrate significant movement on hydraulics and interaction with the core? Answer, no. No. If you don't have the permit, you get 0. So we had to, and by the way, any component part of your program means 0 for your program. We couldn't let that happen. So we took the projects that are self-certified under the nationwide permit. We took those projects and we stuck them into the best scoring application we can make. And we have another application that we're gonna submit because we hope somehow somebody likes us and scores us well despite the fact that we don't have permits.
So, we understand that now.
Okay.
Flip the back page, or the page over. I thought we were asking for a total of 50 million. Well, if you add these 2 together, that's a lot more than 50 million.
Yeah, so we actually,
Something.
yeah, so we've used 50 million because it's a nice round number, Jay. But we actually have 26,200 and some odd dollars. That is the balance of our total ARPA proceeds received, the counties.
Right.
Less what you've already declared as revenue loss that has been used for road department purposes, and less your premium pay. If you take those 2 out, you're left with 26,254. So literally, we have 52 million in total match availability to us. And so that's where that math came from. But I've been using 50 because that's just a nice round number and easy.
Still though, this is there extra projects in here somewhere?
It's actually, there are certain aspects of your costs that cannot be covered by grant funds. And so there's enough built in and packaged into this for us to be able to work these projects in sequence until we get to a point where you guys are ultimately gonna have to make a decision. Are we gonna finish that particular one or not? There needs to be some flexibility in there.
Bond projects.
My thought process here is that we're gonna do all 29, and that's exactly what our application says. But at some point, we may decide, by virtue of the way the program has to be structured and what we're eligible to be reimbursed for, we may have to make some adjustments on the fly at some point.
Or without a doubt, because that's, you know, $20 million more.
Yeah. Yeah, and the way things are moving, I'm curious to see what we actually gonna have left for
So-
construction money.
So just for the people sitting at home watching, right, on the first page of this, right, I'm gonna let Keith go through, and this is totally off the cuff, or you don't even have the sheet of paper. Would you like my sheet of paper?
I've got it.
Explain to me applications A and B and go through the funding for me. You may not have seen it till right now, but because there's a top part of these things that I just want
So
to be sure I understand what I'm reading right.
Concerns we create is we're asking for more than what we have funding for, what we have money for. And also application A and application B, I'm sure some of us would probably be more inclined to do something below the line than we would above. So, I mean.
Yeah, above and below is not a priority. It is literally, how do we stand up these applications in the best way to
I
score?
know, but we could get funding, let's say we get funding for all A. Well, if we submitted more projects than we got money for, we know we're gonna be 20 million over. Well, some of these projects we may not wanna do, we may wanna do some of these down here.
And
So
how-
at this
how does that
point, where
work?
we stand, guys, is you've got basically about 4 or 5 projects that are at some point of moving forward. That's where we are right now. I think we will have a response on our application before we get too much farther.
Yeah, well, I guess,
I
I
think
think what
early
Jay's saying, we
next year.
lock down on A unless we don't have, unless there's more fund. If the funding only will cover A, we lock down A, we're not gonna be able to switch any funding from A to B. Because they're gonna approve it, point wise, so we're gonna wind up with A.
So
Yeah.
Keith, to what Daniel said, it would be nice if you could break it down for us, each project that we have listed and associate how much money is going toward each one.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about you doing it right now.
Right.
I'm
Yeah,
just saying, what I
real
gave
quick.
you right
Can you do
there.
it real quick?
Yeah, off the top of your head, hit that. But I guess that's the frustrating side. If, and I have no projects below the line, right? So this, wherever the line's drawn. Huh? It doesn't say by District 2.
Yeah, if you look at the numerical marker,
I didn't see
Daniel.
number 2.
Yeah,
That's in
Pine-
two, it's in,
Pinebrook.
it's in two,
Pinebrook.
what's in 2 fonts, so I can't read any. That's just
That's
kind of
right.
hieroglyphics to me.
It's
I guess,
Pinebrook.
all right, so I guess my question to that is, when we look at that, if we would have known that our group did not get all 29 of them done, in other words, we were gonna stop right here, you may have been inclined to take some of them below the line and say, prioritize this one up in the category A, because, and I'm making things up.
Yeah, I
This
know
may
what
be a
you're saying.
more important thing for
I
you.
know where you're going. It's
So
like
what
you're
I'm saying is, if we could have known that, hey, we're not gonna meet the deadline, right? And I think we've hit this every meeting, and again, you're getting the full blown of this thing, Slay, so I wanna come up and hug you in a minute. I'm gonna do it when I get done. But if we would've known
Yeah.
that you may well say, hey, take priority on some of these that
Yes.
are down here, let's be sure we get that, I'm
Right.
making, I don't even know what that says, up here,
Yes.
then we could have been in a better
Well,
spot.
I'm not defending anybody, but I do want to keep beating this drum with you guys. Stormwater projects have to implicate the Corps. Wastewater, drinking water, they don't have to ask the Corps of Engineers anything. Stormwater projects are burdened with dealing with the Corps.
I think we all understand where we are.
All right, and here's another thing, and this is important, because this is what we're talking to our state legislators about now. Why did they hand all this stuff off to
Let me see
DEQ
it real quick.
to run
I'll give it right back to you.
and require them to address projects that have nothing to do with DEQ's jurisdiction?
Well, they actually do. I mean, they do stormwater every time you go do a mining operation, they have a stormwater plan.
Not outside the simplicity of is erosion
Right.
leaving a site. Jay, that's it.
Well, there's nobody else that does it, though.
Well, yes, there is.
Who?
Soil and Water Conservation, the Corps.
Well, which one was-
Name anyone you can think of. How about the legislature themselves?
Well, that would be-
They could have said, you know what, for stormwater projects, we're gonna divvy that money up.
Yeah, you know.
That would have been a lot
Right,
simpler,
advantage.
and it would have been much more workable. They've
Keep
asked
asking
DEQ
for
to
it.
oversee a program
Well, this can't
that
be some
doesn't fit within their
surprise.
mandate.
This is-
And they literally cannot understand or appreciate that stormwater project, we are not going to be able to provide them with a permit. We're not. We can't. Corps won't let us.
So we can get that money.
So we're fortunate that we can stand up the 21 that are above the line by virtue of the fact that we have self-certified all of them. That's our permit. It's what we say it is.
It really is not a surprise. It may be a surprise on one below the line or one above the line, but Jay and I met with some of the guys, engineers, and I don't know, a month, 2 months ago, and asked them to get things rolling, but we, at that time, I won't say 6 weeks ago, we pretty much nailed it on the head. So, we are where we are, and I don't think that we can, I mean, I'd like to put everybody in detention, and when you come out of there and have all these above the line, but it's not gonna happen.
Right.
I think we should just, but not just, we've got to work together and get all
Also-
of our resources headed in the right direction.
Keep in mind that there is more than one round of funding. There's more than one round of funding. And if it's a below the line project and we miss it because of our application score on this round of funding, that doesn't mean we've lost it. We're going to have additional rounds of funding. The issue for us is we don't know precisely when the second round will begin. We're having good conversations with the legislators. They're telling us there's additional ARPA funding at the state level. You know the Senate held back some funding. We expect the Senate to help us with some additional funding in the ARPA program. My hope is that between myself and John Milner and Trey Jones and others, we will have opportunities to explain to the legislators the challenges that we're seeing in the DEQ process. And my hope is maybe we can get some additional legislation that helps us to be able to have a much more equal place and foothold in the application world for scoring purposes for stormwater projects as opposed to wastewater projects. That's my hope. I can't commit anything up here. I don't know enough at this point to be able to tell you with any certainty where we're headed with this. But we have put before you, I believe, the best your team thinks this is the best application that we can submit. We think this has the greatest possibility for acquiring state matching funds for your program. And this is what we intend to submit later today with y'all's permission.
All right, so I'll make a motion to adopt the resolution. Do I have a second?
Second, with a little explanation. We have this document, we have it, it is what we have. Are we 100% happy? I'm gonna say not 100%. If I was giving it a letter grade, I'd give it a B. And that is because I don't think that we're gonna get them all funded if we had all of them ready. So, then the next thing, in reality, we're not the only ones that are trying to do this. Getting all of these implemented and the manpower, the resources, when it all starts happening, just like when they were building schools, except much more, bigger, there's more work out there than there are people
That's right.
to do it. So we all can't have all
right.
of our projects at the same time.
I strongly encourage us not to spend anything before we actually get it. So
Right.
I think y'all are on the right track asking the questions that you ask and continuing to ask about priorities. Let me also say this. Nobody can tell you right now, Jared, this goes right to your question. Nobody can tell you at the moment whether or not how we get state matching funding, whether that is locked in or not. I anticipate that at some point, with the legislature's help, we'll be able to go back at some point and say, because we have been challenged in acquiring permits for project whatever, we need to substitute a similar project, I think we will have some flexibility to move some projects around, even after state matching grant funds have been awarded.
Well, Craig, just so you know, I was wrong. I added wrong numbers together.
I waited to say anything, I saw it.
I was wondering which one.
Are we
you had.
okay?
Yeah.
Am I okay?
So
You're
that,
good, you're good.
Okay.
all right, I made the motion,
I
second by
second it.
Mr. Gaines.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
Mr. Calhoun is signing the resolution.
I will say though, if we don't get funding on B before, if we have to make another application,
You want to revisit it before it's submitted?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take just 30-second break.
Mr. Hicks.
All right, good morning.
Good morning,
morning.
sir.
It is still morning. Item A, we received notice after your initial approval of our agreement with Delta Harris Computer Systems that they sent us the wrong rates. And I'm looking at Jay. They actually provided incorrect rates for their monthly support services. And we have before you now what they deem as the correct amounts for approval, your consideration and approval for their services for the next year.
Did they go up or down?
They went up.
Imagine that. Even more than the last one.
Yes, sir.
So are we doing anything about,
We're looking.
alright,
All right, so do I have a motion to approve the rate increase?
It's a necessary evil right now.
Jay, you gonna make a motion?
nope.
Jared?
So what happens if we don't pass this today? What stops?
Yeah, I want, yeah.
They
Anytime we have-
unplug a computer?
Anytime we have trouble, we're gonna have to get a PO, we're gonna have to call them, they're gonna charge us a outrageous hourly rate.
How
to
often do
get
we call
service.
them with problems? Just one? A
Uh,
lot?
Caroline can speak to that.
I'm looking,
Jessica can
So,
speak to
so
it.
what do you define as a lot? Like weekly? But they're not helping you when we call anyway, so it doesn't really matter? What do you want me to do? I'm gonna put you on the spot. Jessica, what do you want me to do? You deal with this all day?
We won't get any support if we don't have an agreement in place. We'll be put to the back of the line.
So behalf of
and the back
Jessica
the line
and
never
Caroline,
gets
I'll make a
addressed.
motion to approve on behalf of those two individuals.
and I'll.
I don't feel good either, but I mean, I don't want it to stop, is my point, so until you can figure out a better solution. Not you, but
And I'll second it,
Keith.
and hopefully we can find a
We
better
don't have
solution.
no choice. I mean, we got no choice.
Can't stop
That's the
it.
problem. We always
we're stuck.
handcuffed.
So motion
One
made
can
by
vote against it,
Mr.
it's still
Cross,
gonna happen.
second by myself. Any more discussion? Not, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? We gotta have one more aye.
You should say aye.
No, you got aye. You don't vote, you're an aye already. You don't say no, you're an aye.
Motion carried.
I'm abstaining.
Moving on
The
to item
garbage
B.
still get picked up.
Daniel,
Software,
just to
I mean,
give you an
all the
update,
software, everything.
I've looked at one alternative solution, and it really doesn't get us out of that realm, and there's another option out there that we're looking at to address the situation. So, Item B is approval to accept two 30-month lease purchase financing agreements for two new dump trucks with Kentworth, a white one and a black one.
A white one and a black one.
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Yeah, they're two different amounts, so.
I'll second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All
Spent a
opposed?
lot of money, we
Hey,
spent a lot of money
hey.
for a little darker color.
Let me ask this right here. I know we went back and Mike went to the auction, I think, when was that, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago,
Last week.
or last week? How'd your buyback go on that stuff?
We sold, I believe it was 130,000 each.
So that's
each
more than
load.
what you thought you were gonna get back,
Yeah,
right?
we were only guaranteed 112, so.
You got 130?
130 for it.
130 each.
You can buy some gravel with that. I got a road called Purvis Road. I need some gravel.
Had a boy, Mikey, back there. You snuck in late today. You're tardy, but you did good reselling them trucks, so.
All right, we got the motions on this.
Sorry about that. Yeah. Buyback triggered me.
You got the motions on there? I'm kinda fell behind on this
I don't know
one.
if
You
it
good
is
on
a
it?
motion on it.
Hmm?
He said it is.
All right.
Who did?
All right, guess we move forward.
Daniel
you
made the
got a
motion.
vote?
I-
Or
You got a
we got a
vote.
vote?
Oh, all right, I make a motion to,
Daniel made the motion, Brad seconded it.
I think you
All right,
just call for a
all
vote.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, my bad.
It's all right.
Item C is authority to amend the fiscal year 22 budget as of tomorrow and reflect the actual receipts and expenditures for the fiscal year.
Yeah. So, second.
Motion, Mr. Gaines, second by Mr. Cross, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, motion carried.
And we do have some additional business. And the first item, if y'all are okay with it, is a discussion of the multipurpose pavilion.
Yeah,
Steve, you wanna?
I'm thinking we
Let's
had
discuss
some
that.
interest or something
Yeah.
that somebody's wanting to
Oh,
lease for a 3-year lease or.
Actually, it's not, I don't think it's a lease as much as it is, setting, they've asked about this a year ago, and the timing wasn't really good. It needs to run 4 years as a term, so you're not binding one board to another. So this is what we're talking about now, would be really for next year.
Okay.
But they're interested. This is Little Britches. I think they're one of our better performers, users. They come to us when we were not really having as many shows or quality and stuff, and they work with Ken and Mike really well. I think y'all have a good relationship, don't you, Ken? They do well. They're one of the largest associations in the South, and they put on true youth rodeos, horse show type things that are family oriented, and I don't know, I think 19 is the age limit that they can ride in. You're not disguising this and, you know, getting a deal, and then a bunch of people, well, maybe not quite my age, but I think you understand.
Yes, sir.
And they pay a competitive rate. When they come in, they pretty much rent the whole place, don't they, Ken?
They get everything, all the stalls, all
Yep. And they pay for them.
Yes, sir.
Well, what they would like is to start negotiations to do a contract for 4 years. And the reason for that is so they can do a budget also. They are one of the biggest in the nation now. And I wanna do whatever I can do that'll help them, as long as we're not setting something that will harm us later.
Going in the
They're
hole.
not asking for a break, a tremendous break or anything like that. They just need to set their
what do they want
budgets.
though? I mean, they want to rent it.
Going up.
They want it.
Well,
for-
they wanna know what they're gonna, they want maybe, I don't know, 8 or 10 events a year. Is it something like that?
They have been in 11 weekends, 22 days a year.
Okay, and they've been doing that. We can count on them, and we can count on their
So
money.
they just want to know they can have that many times. They don't want to rent the whole building.
Yes, they want, just like they're doing now.
They just
Okay.
wanna lock in the price.
They wanna lock in a
Okay.
price
They're
and
not
say,
going to just take over the facility.
No, they don't
No,
want,
no,
they don't
no,
want to
no.
run the
No.
Well, when you
facility.
start talking about rent the facility, I'm thinking they want to just.
Well, they
rent the
renting
whole-
the stalls
Yeah.
and the riding arenas, the warm-up
What
arenas.
they're trying to do is, just like Steve said, they're trying to set up their budget for their future.
Yeah.
And they're trying to ensure that they've got a place for
Place
all
to
these
go.
kids to go for the next 4 years. And because these facilities are disappearing all throughout the nation, and they want to make sure that
we didn't do this.
Well, and they're already booked through next September.
booked through their whole next season.
Yes.
Yeah, what we're talking about would not start until
The new term.
2024.
Yes.
But we've got to.
They plan
give
so far
Mike
out
and
ahead.
Ken some direction that we support that idea, and Mike and Ken can work with them, and if they can work it out, I'm good. I'd like to help them, I'm not saying, and I don't think they're asking for a discount. That's not what
I'm thinking they just wanting something in place to where they know
Right.
when their budget time is, they can budget
Well,
for.
when they do a production, it's not,
And it's
I
a
mean,
lot
it
of folks
takes a
there.
lot of people, and it's a lot of resources and coordinating things, to pull up somewhere and they go, oh man, we didn't tell you, we've got a dog show this weekend.
We can enter those negotiations.
Right, then I don't think we need any,
Yep.
that's just information and let
Yeah.
Mike and Ken know, and
We'll have to
sheriff.
bring something to you
I
for
agree.
approval,
The
Steve.
sheriff has been, he helps us, a good bit there, you know, you can imagine, you got 3,000 people around there and they don't all put their trash in the garbage.
Yep.
So,
And speaking of the multi-purpose pavilion, I just want to brief you guys, we're working on some issues, you know, the building's coming of age. It's 25 plus years old. We're starting to have some issues out there plumbing wise, mostly, and we're working through those. So we're probably gonna be making some significant repairs
yeah,
in the near future.
Yeah.
So I just don't want y'all to be surprised when I come back after I get the quotes and,
Okay.
with recommendations on what we need to do
The
for the
biggest
building.
problem we have right now, the building's 23 years old. We have a dry fire sprinkler system in the old building. All this humidity and all, the sprinkler system shot. It's turned off, it is not working. The new building doesn't even have one. This is where they've been cutting the holes in the ceiling, trying to patch it and all, the pipes are rusted. So the sprinkler system's off, we have no fire sprinkler system that's working. That's our biggest thing. Of course, it's above sheet rock.
Yeah.
Basically, they're saying we need to rip the whole system out, put all new pipe in.
are you talking about in our, pavilion or
Yes.
in the,
Yes, above the bleachers, the concession stands,
Okay.
bathroom area and all that, the
Okay.
fire sprinkler system.
But all that's,
It's
I mean, that
not-
metal roof.
So that's, you're looking at a major expense if you're gonna replace all that. You got to rip all the sheet rock
it's
out.
I mean, for the most part, it's a metal building. What is the I mean, I don't wanna just go,
I don't know.
okay, that's something.
That's just it. The new building has no sprinkler system at all. It was built with no sprinkler system. The old building has a sprinkler system, but it does not work. Now, what the requirement is for
Yeah.
what we have to have, I have no idea.
We're required by the city and by our fire code.
To have it.
People are in that facility.
Right.
have a
It's based on the occupancy load, but I'd have to go look at the building.
Assembly space.
I mean, it's nothing in there
I don't-
gonna burn.
I don't even know what it
I
looks
mean-
like inside.
It'll send you a graphic on the space.
Well, you-
It's metal and.
Plywood roof, I guess.
Okay.
I'm just saying, is it
It's gonna sit up there and hold it.
I know.
closed
Well-
occupancy, like doors?
No, it's wide open. I mean, you can, there's multiple exits.
Let's get
Whole
some
building, though.
plans and
I
specs,
didn't know if
all
this
the
was a
stuff
room,
that
like an office.
That's
we
what we're
feel
working on.
is necessary, and then we
Whole
may
building.
strike through some stuff or add something, and then, try to get it priced out.
That's our biggest maintenance issue right now, is the fire sprinkler system is shot. You can charge it back up, 2 or 3 days later, you come in, it's gonna trip, the parking lot's gonna be flooded with water. I mean, it's just, then you got more holes in the sheet rock to try and find the rusted piece of pipe. 2 or 3 days later, you can go through the same process again.
Well, on the plumbing side of it, I know there's a lot of RVs, especially when Little Britches and then some of these bigger shows show up, got RVs. They don't have a sewer hookup there.
We do not have sewer hookups, and, I'm hoping we have the plumbing situation finally after about $10,000 and about 14 calls for plumbers. We've found, it's the same thing, we're outdoors with all the humidity and all, the pipes are rusting and the walls, they came this week and actually had to cut out part of the men's bathroom wall for a urinal pipe that was just rusted too. And every time you flush the urinal, water was running in, filling up the concrete box, and it was so easily, leaking out. We had a broken pipe inside the, lift station that they had to go in and fix. We had another pipe in the main sewer line that, they had to go in and dig up and redo, all this within the last 90 days. Hopefully we have it, but every time we have a big show like Little Bridges, where there's a lot of flushing and so on and so forth, we start having flooding. And it's a sewer backing up.
Hey,
It doesn't happen so much when there's only 100 people there.
Dwayne.
I think we're finally getting down to
looked
the
at it on the
issues on
code
that.
side?
The whole problem is humidity outdoors, and it's just, 20
Well,
degrees.
my thing is if we're gonna do some plumbing, invest money up there, make it to where the RVs can hook up to their plumbing, where it can.
And as far as the sprinkler system, I mean, I had to go look at it, and I'd be glad to go with you to look at it. I just need to see I gotta look at it to see what the requirement says on the code, on the sprinkler side, cause I don't know what's closed in and what's not.
Maybe obsolete what we have now, anyway, I mean, it had to be
Or
upgraded.
it may not apply.
I don't know that we
May not
even
apply.
need it, but it's there and it doesn't work.
And I guess my thing is, maybe there was some future thought that this was gonna get closed in, but if it's an open, unoccupied, no walls, I gotta go see it. I have to look at
If
it.
we don't need it, we can patch the sheet rock and leave it off and
I gotta go
go
look
on
at
with our
it.
business.
I'll get by there. Maybe
All right,
meet
appreciate it,
Dwayne.
Ken.
We'll slide on, look.
Y'all good with us working on some sort of formal arrangement with Little Bridges?
That's right.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Some sort of proposal about upgrading the facility that y'all can review.
Yeah.
Y'all do that.
I'm good.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right.
Ken was sick, and he was really bad sick, and he worked around the schedules and had people that, he did way more than you could even, I mean, I felt terrible that he was trying to make sure everything was working, and while he was staying there on his deathbed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. All right, let's go to B.
I'll take this one, but, it's the discussion of a turnaround on the cul-de-sac in Dominion Lakes,
I don't know anything about
Dominion
it.
Parkway.
Yeah, the road is a county road. Dominion is one of our subdivisions. It's a large lot, subdivision off of 471. And the road just stops. I mean, it's just, it's no wider or anything else. It stops, where we have, we don't maintain it past there.
Yeah.
It hadn't been, I guess, ever, it hadn't been on the map for anything because it kind of looks like a developer, somebody could continue on. And I think that's why it just got chopped off. Yes, sir.
I don't mean to interrupt, Steve, but I've done a little research on it and, went back and pulled the Phase 3 construction drawings. And it actually, the construction drawings actually went further than the Phase 3 final plat. Apparently at some point in construction, they realized we don't wanna go any further right now. And so the Phase 3 final plat abruptly ends with it looks like to be future continuation. Now the people at the end, based on the final plat, they were on the final plat there, I think lot 12, but they've bought some additional lands, adjacent to it. So they own a much bigger parcel on the tax map now than their original, I don't know how big that lot was, but a couple acres, maybe something. So there's an area there where it just stops, and there's a need for, I think where you are, there's a need for a cul-de-sac there to turn around because there's no
turnaround.
Right.
And school bus.
Right.
Picks up children and stops and knifes in and out, back and forth. Garbage trucks, same thing. While I was there and they were showing me what was going on, a delivery, I think it's FedEx, but I don't remember. If they're in that area, they come to the end looking for a place to turn around. They have to turn around these people's yards.
It's the only situation, looks like we've had on Long Ridge.
Yeah.
Right.
The project never went on further,
That's right.
and it should have, we've learned from that, if you're gonna,
We now require a temporary cul-de-sac to be
right,
installed.
yeah, should have been back
Further
in
construction,
for,
They,
Yeah.
Dominion Lake's a pretty old subdivision, yeah.
huh?
it's really nice.
Well, that's the same thing that happened Long Ridge.
I don't, the
Stop.
plat I've got doesn't have the signatures on it, let's
We
see.
learned then, if you're gonna stop, your stop should end with a cul-de-sac.
Lewis Grubbs was the managing partner.
Grubbs. Yes.
But there's no future development plans on the phase 3 part.
No, but Dr. Grubbs sold out, and, so all development activities, I wanted to address that question with you guys. There's not an option for us to go back to the original developer and say, hey,
Right.
come install your cul-de-sac. That's not an option for us. So
He's
it's
gonna
gonna
install it.
happen.
What kind of money
It's
you talking
gonna
about?
need to be the county taking the responsibility to do it. My thought process is if the property owners who are impacted
Mhm.
are willing to donate the right of way that's
Yeah.
required, we just need to get the right of way, get some form of a cul-de-sac constructed there.
You're gonna have utilities in the way,
Do you
though.
think that's gonna be an issue,
I wouldn't
Steve,
think-
getting right away?
I don't think
I
so.
don't think it'd be no issue
Yeah.
getting the right of way.
Well,
think
there's
they'd be
no
glad to.
utilities in the way.
I think, I'm gonna make a motion that we go forward and do the research and see what right of way we need to have, and what utilities may or may not be there,
That's right.
and then come back to us with
Absolutely.
some estimates.
Sounds good.
We can do
I
that.
make that.
All right, so we need to make a motion to
And
add
make it
it to,
happen.
add it to
Just make
the,
it happen.
Just do it. I'd say just do it.
Okay.
without a motion.
No, I mean,
A motion.
That's how much to do it. As long as they'll donate the land,
Yeah.
Hold on just a second,
Goes
hold on
really
a second. So the motion would be to proceed with all of the engineering service or legal services that may be required for the purpose of developing the appropriate cul-de-sac, to delineate the right-of-way, to acquire the right-of-way, and then to construct the cul-de-sac as designed.
Yes, sir.
That is the subject of the motion.
Yes, sir.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
is that to add it?
That's the add
Oh,
and,
it's some,
It's
Oh,
a
you already had that.
necessary
Yeah.
investment
All right, so you got,
pursuant to ARPA
all right,
regulations.
hey, I got two things on additional business, and I'm gonna go fast, I think. The rain delay may hit me, but
Below the line.
I'm gonna try this first. On the bond project we had authorized in the bond, $400,000, or I can't remember what the exact number was, for that, it was an NPO project we turned back in because they came over bid.
441.
Do what now?
441.
Alright, so that bond line, what I'd like to do was, we had to kick out the bids, so what I would like to do on that is I would like to authorize Tim and Mike to go ahead and pave from, Spillway Road, no, Hugh Ward on Spillway Road up at the Grants Ferry as far as we can get right there with that same amount of money. I don't wanna lose that money in the bond project, we're not putting it back out for a bid or whatever, so that'd be my motion to add it to the agenda to authorize young Timmy and Mike to construct the overlay from Hugh Ward Boulevard to Grants Ferry Road-ish, however far that money, when the money runs out, the money stops, but it's in that bond allocations that are there, so.
that's your motion to add, second by Mr. Bishop.
Yep.
Any more discussion? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
And I'll make a motion to approve that same motion.
Second.
All right, second by Mr. Bishop. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
Timmy, did that say it the way you want it? All right. Well, not that you knew it was coming, but it did sound good enough to come out. The second one we need to hit real quick, because we've had multiple calls on this, is Phase 1 section of Palo Verde. This is under litigation, and we may want to talk about this in executive session under litigation.
Yes,
You got it there?
We got it.
So let's wait till we come out of that, but I want to talk about Palo Verde when we come back. I know we need to speak of the legal issues in executive session.
So,
I've got a couple.
all right, go
Small.
ahead.
One, Keith and I looked, Reservoir East was chip sealed, micro by a contractor. They didn't do, the workmanship is not good in places. They told the public out there that the reason that some of the bad stuff, which was spraying into the gutter, and they are trying to do their very best to upgrade this subdivision, and they are. They have gone to a different contract on their sewage that triples their cost to try to rectify problems. And they built a sign out of their own pocket, they don't have established, they don't have a funded HOA, but some of the people are really working hard, and they built a sign and put bricks around it, and they keep it cut, real proud of it. But when the people that were contracted went by with their sprayer, they said the guy that was supposed to be on the end didn't show up, so they just sprayed, and curb got some sprayed and some not. It looks terrible. And some of their bricks got sprayed, and there is some way you can turn the bricks around. You're not gonna clean this tar off. I would like for us to do something, especially at the front. And if it means, and I want them to agree or say that that's what they would like, one simple thing I think would be just to paint the curb yellow or white, or I don't know, white may not work because you got that black tar behind it.
Want pressure wash off?
I don't know.
Have they tried that?
I don't know.
Do you know if anything can remove that tar off of those
I
curves?
think so.
Okay.
He said yes.
No, we got a problem.
I think you can take it
Why
off.
hadn't we tried to get it off? They've been on hollering at me for 3 or 4 weeks. You don't know? Mike?
I reckon I've seen that time get there, Steve.
Alright.
All right, anything else?
Yeah, I got one thing I would like to know. Mike, when are we gonna take care of Pearl Schools doing that parking lot?
You wanna pave it or what?
Well, we said we were gonna micro it. We told them 2 months ago we were gonna do it.
I told y'all last board meeting, micro guy was pulling out, we didn't have them no more.
Yeah, how long you been trying to do it?
I can't make you guys stay in here.
6 months ago, we voted to do this, so then just chip seal it.
Well, I do whatever you wanna do to it, but I mean, the micro guy pulled out, like I said, and I mean, I can't micro.
Well, he's talking about 6 months ago we approved it. I guess what he's asking.
We should have
Work
done
it in
took
there.
care of it rather than putting them off back burner.
Yeah, I mean, they got 50 miles they should've micro too, and they ain't got to it yet either, you know, that we got, so.
Were they just not doing work in Rankin County anymore?
Pulled out, went to the
I mean,
bid guy.
we're going to come up with a
They
solution
let some
instead
people
of our
hanging.
commodity
They say
bid
some of your stuff
process.
hanging, wasn't it, when they left?
I mean, we're going to have to just go project by project
He's
and
talking
have
about
it
6
bidded
months.
out.
It's sitting there 6 months.
Yeah, but I mean, what I'm saying is they were doing other jobs, working, and they just pulled out and left some of them jobs.
I know that. I'm saying,
Yes, I
he's
have
saying,
no teeth to make mistakes there.
using that excuse now. It should've been done 6 months ago.
They
We approved to do it.
Well, I think they'll be happy with anything we do. We've been telling them for months, we're gonna come do it, and not done anything. So, we need to get out there and get it taken care of.
What do you think? Do you wanna, we got another option since we can't do that method?
Chip seal would be good, you know, they got asphalt now, but it's all falling apart. It's the bus barns, what it is, where they
Chip
park
seal?
all their barns, their buses.
Chip seal it then?
Something, I mean,
Chip seal's not gonna work on it too good if it's falling apart. You're gonna have to, fix that base some before you do that.
well, we
If
were
it's falling apart,
supposed to do
chip
that
seal.
anyway.
Yeah, I'm just saying, chip seal won't hold up then.
Well, how much money was
Well, once they pull
allocated
it,
for?
just pick how you want it done. Tell them what to do exactly. I mean,
How
that's
much
what I'm
money
saying. I'm
was
with you.
allocated for?
I don't, wasn't a dollar amount.
This was
It's
just
not
a
very
school
big.
district request.
Was Pearl's,
This was a school district request,
Right.
a written request that we
Yes.
normally handle. Okay, all right. Yeah,
His
those
his
typically
biggest
don't
thing is
have
it was
dollar amounts
months
assigned
ago,
to them.
huh?
Those typically don't have
Oh,
a dollar
yeah.
amount assigned to them.
That's true.
You're authorized to do that under a particular code section on behalf of the school districts. So, we don't normally put dollar amounts in those authorizations.
That's right. Okay.
What the talk, the area we talking about is the size of this room.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, instead of, get something to hold up, tell them, I don't know, you said chip seal won't hold up, it's breaking up?
Well, I mean, you gotta fix the base for chip seal to go on.
Harris, how do you want to fix, I mean, do you need any kind of special authorization, or you just gonna go do it?
I'll get it fixed.
Okay. Good deal.
I'll be better than what it was when I get through with it.
I like it.
All right, anything else?
I got one more thing, real quick.
Y'all, one more thing needed
I
there.
know. I need to add an item, and it's authority to pay PO number 222203, upon receipt of, receiving the receiving report and the invoice, and authority to issue check, and this is just cleaning up some year-end, issues.
All right, so I'll make a motion to add that.
Motion made to add by Mr. Cross, second by Mr. Bishop. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion approved, Mr. Cross, second by Mr. Bishop. All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign.
And we do have a need for executive under personnel, and I believe litigation.
And litigation, so I'll make a motion to go in executive session for litigation and personnel.
All right, I'll second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
So the motion to go in executive session?
Motion to go into executive session made by Mr. Cross, second by myself. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry.